Hey everyone, a little precursor to this episode. Here at The Dirt, we live true to our values, working through the inevitable obstacles that come our way. Specifically, for this episode, we ran into some audio issues on our end that resulted in my questions coming through in a low volume. The good news is that the most important part of the episode, Trevor's insights and story, are crystal clear. With that said, thank you for understanding, and it's time to get dirty. With over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, this guest has done a little bit of everything, from starting the first online catalog in the cabinet industry to building out more than 100 enterprise level web apps. He has the experience and battle scars that come from traveling the founder journey. When he's not building tech companies, you'll find this adrenaline junkie traveling the world, experiencing life as all of us should. His most recent excursion in Alaska, catching a 178-pound halibut, which wasn't even his biggest. Today, we're going to dive a little into that, but mostly into product and ops, from product evolution to product pricing, product contracts, and even when to bring someone else in as CEO. So let's give a big dirt welcome to Trevor Grace, founder of dbaPlatforms.
Hey Jim, thanks for having me. Happy to be here and looking forward to this chat for a while.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. You've been traveling the world, which is never a bad place to be, and building companies, which is even better. So, what's the best place for us to start? I figure it might be at the roots of your founder story, back to buycabinets.com. Would that be a good place?
We can absolutely start there.
Perfect.
Quite a while ago. That's back in the late '90s when Google first started, and back of the days where you could create a website and put kitchen cabinets on the same page, 500 times, and within 7 minutes be ranked number one in the Google search engine. Yeah, that's where it all sort of started, just tinkering around and playing with the internet as it was emerging. Yeah, that's where it all sort of started, and just fumbling my way through the internet and seeing the impact as it was being adopted by consumers, and how powerful communication is. And it's where I sort of cut my teeth in fully understanding the power of the internet.
The golden days, huh?
Oh yeah. What's funny about those days is although Google has the technology has changed, their mission and their goal, the fundamental truth of what they do hasn't changed at all. I tell people all the time, like, Google's Google's job is to, like, try to identify whatever that user search query is, give them the most relevant content that they're looking for. And that hasn't changed since the '90s, right? Like, they've just been on this mission to, like, solve that problem. And as long as you remember that, like, that's all they care about, it gives you yeah, I think that's my unique perspective on them. Like, all the flashy stuff they do, at the end of the day, like, that's what their product does. It serves the customer, and I think that's the most important thing in business that gets overlooked. It's just the basics, the KYC, know your customer. And as long as you're you stay on that track, you'll be able to accomplish great things.
So back then, when you were, disrupting the cabinet industry, if you will, and now at DBA, where you're in like a really tight partnership with Google, um, what else have you? I mean, you've been basically a partner to them for 2 decades, yeah, in one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. And there, again, like, there's so many things I can talk about with Google, but they want to make sure that the physical world matches the digital world. And you can either just understand that and try to build business and products around what they're trying to do, or you can try to hack their system and hack it. And there's a lot of business to be made that way too. But I sort of went the other route of, like, hey, being close to them and understanding that they dominate and own the world's information. And so, just having that, belief that if I can stay close to them and make a product that helps accomplish what their goals are, there's going to be a lot of legs on that and any product I build. So
Yeah. What are some of the things that you've built in between DBA and back in the
Oh,
cabinet days?
gosh, there's been lots of from loyalty app programs to maintenance softwares to digital asset management applications, different sort of marketplaces. Tried all the different niche things you can think of. At one point, I probably tried it or helped out, different companies trying their little niche. And that's what's so cool about what we do. Technology changes, you blink in 12 months, it's completely different. But that's why I was saying the fundamentals of what Google's trying to do never changes. Their applications and their platforms and their interfaces and all that might change, but what they're trying to accomplish never changes.
Yeah, yeah. They're just a juggernaut. Ever
They are, and it's but it's great. It creates a platform for a lot of innovation, right? And so uh, I think search, right? Like, and that's where it starts. People want to find information, and unlike social, which there's a lot of great media and content out there, but when it comes to search and people wanting to know about anything and everything that crosses their minds, Google is it's where people go.
Yeah, it's a it's a beautiful world we live in. So this this evolution of your relationship both with Google and just building businesses. Now you're at dbaPlatform, or you founded dbaPlatform, where you guys are creating a really strong relationship between brand and retailer, which is ever important, but something that you guys have built a really nice business around. Talk to me a little bit about what that is, how that came to be, and
Yeah,
where
well,
you're at.
it really, we were hyper focused in the Google My Business property and optimizing that. So if you don't know what that is, it's if you do a search and you see you search like Yeti cooler near me, as an example, you're going to see, the search results will show ads, and then you scroll down a little bit, and then you'll see the maps pack, right? So that map pack is what Google calls, well, they just recently changed it to Google Business Profile. So if you're a local you have to be a local business to get one of those profiles. You can't be e-commerce or any of that. So that's sort of the property that we were working with. And I realized, like, about 4 or 5 years ago, some of the big boys, like Walmart, they had on their profiles, they had this little widget called See What's in Store. And it was an inventory module. And I was like, what the heck is this thing? Like, this is really, I've never even heard about it. So I found that was Google's alpha product to help take inventory of a local retailer and surface it online. So the near me searches have been exploding. People's intent to want to buy stuff locally and want to know what's in locally is like 46% of all searches now. People have that local intent. It's crazy. And so 5 years ago, when I saw that, we started digging in and understanding what it is we would need to do to empower that experience for all retailers. And then when COVID hit and the toilet paper crisis came about, where nobody could find toilet paper, it's right about the time when Google really leaned in and said, "Hey, is there any partners out there that we can find that can help us solve this problem?" And then that's when I met Chris Lytle. He was the head of global shopping over there, and his job was to stand that up and work with partners to help empower that experience. And so that's how we sort of got into that space of helping retailers get their inventory online. And the most powerful part about that is, like, basically every single item in your store, if you're a retail owner, gets indexed by Google. And so what that means is that it's searchable right within google.com. So whether it's a Yeti cooler 85, so a specific brand or category of a product or a model number for product, Google's going to surface that for you. And so I think over the time, you're going to see this is how Google's going to combat Amazon, because they're going to turn every single one of their retailers into a distribution center. And when you have apps like Uber and Lyft and Shipt and all of these delivery services now, you're going to start seeing connections in those delivery service where you can get any local product delivered the same way you order food, right, within minutes. So that's sort of what the space that we're in, and it was COVID that actually, like, the toilet paper crisis, that sort of right place, right time, right product, and the right experience, that we were able to sort of capitalize on that, and we've been growing ever since.
So really, it's from cabinets to toilet paper.
From cabinets to toilet paper.
You mentioned a couple things I want to dig into. So, did you say 46% of all searches are done with the intent at the local level?
They now include a local intent. Yeah, it's crazy.
They now include a local intent. That is
Crazy.
unreal. And that just for consumer good intent, or literally any search at all?
Any search at all has that local, and that's the percentage of local intent. That's how and really it's a couple things, right? It's the adoption of the cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
and the consumer behavior now, that when, if you think about the behaviors in the 90s, everyone had desktops, and so it was at home sort of research project, and then you would go somewhere. Well,
Yeah.
now, because information is so at our fingertips, while we're driving where we're going, we're researching what's around where I'm going, like multiple times, right? So, like, if you think about it, it's the mobile devices, and it's COVID. And because when COVID hit, you saw commerce, although, Amazon did great, but people needed to buy. There was certain stuff you couldn't buy on Amazon, and so we saw that how important it was for local economy and local businesses to support, the population. So I think it's those two things: the adoption of mobile devices, and just the web experience, and then the user behavior of, like, not having to do their research at home, but doing the research while they're on the go, while they're doing other things, has led to this, like, super increase in the near me stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. Very cool. The other thing I want to dig into is you mentioned Chris, and I think one of the things that is really hard for founders to do is bring deciding when and understanding how to bring in somebody else as the CEO, and what the experience feels like, and what that what the founder journey is that equates to that, if you will. And Chris was the one that you pegged to come in and come in as CEO. And that was one of your partners. Is that correct?
Yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't something I had planned on. But, because I've done several other ventures before, it wasn't my first one. I think that I was at a place in my life where, my understanding of what I'm good at and what my core competency is, and just understanding that the business is not my identity. The business is its own identity. And so, as a founder, we have a responsibility to make decisions that's best for those businesses. I was really looking, as most founders do, they wear multiple hats. I was just really looking for, how do we take this super complicated thing that nobody knows about, and just working. The timing came up to where Chris had mentioned that he was looking to do something else, like leave Google. He's been there for a long time, so he's potentially looking to try something else. And I was like, well, dude, you know more about this space. Would you be interested in coming over here and just meeting him and talking with him? I mean, he had all the credentials, came from the startup space, knows what it's like to be a founder.
Mm-hmm.
His ex business actually got acquired by Google. That's how he ended up there. So he had all the qualities, to be the leader of this thing, and the relationships, right? And so it allowed me then to shift and focus on the product, because when you're building technology, like, it's hard to do all the things as a CEO should do and be in the weeds of what the product needs to do. So you sort of got to pick your lane, and to get your full attention, right? Like, at some point you have to be able to fully invest in what you're doing. So,
Yeah.
for this particular situation, it just made sense to have tap him to be the CEO, and I sort of slid over and focused on the product. And we're not quite done there yet, although we have a lot of momentum, in the market right now, and we're sitting in a good spot to roll out some pretty exciting stuff. It's been a lot of fun the last year and a half or two that he's been here.
Yeah, that sounds so. He's been there a year or two. The decision wasn't light, it was a thoughtful decision, obviously, with a lot of factors connected to it, but not like a momentary light switch, if you will.
Yeah. It wasn't like, hey, I need to go find a CEO. It was more of like, hey, how does the business grow and scale, and really capitalize on something that nobody's really paying attention to. And how can we, in the world of technology, it's first to market does have its advantages, but it's a lot easier to copy something once it's out than to innovate something that doesn't exist, right? And so, yeah, it just worked out. We got, I think, just again, right place, right time, and I think it worked out because of my just emotional and personal maturity as a founder, and understanding that I don't have to having it, be, it's not an ego thing. It's not a personal thing for me. It's more of like, how can the business be put in the right position to accomplish great things.
Yeah, you nailed it when you said before that. How do you separate yourself as the founder from the business? Because that's, you become so intimately tied to it, especially the first time founders, right? But also really anyone that's building a business.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for maybe some of those other founders who are considering it, or maybe even not considering it because they think they have to be the founder?
Well, yeah. So part of my journey of today, I did some consulting in between the cabinet thing and this, and so I worked with a lot of other companies, helping them create strategic growth plans and marketing plans, and so I saw what it was like when a founder with, was making all the decisions as the company was growing, and going in a direction that they probably weren't, that wasn't their core skill set anymore of what the business needed to put it the right places in for scale. And so just seeing that too probably helped identify that. So I would say that, when you're super early on, you have to be the one making those decisions. And when the product that you first roll out, your alpha product, is never the product that I've seen that ends up being the product that starts scaling, right? And so the businesses go through different growth stages and spurts, and need different guardians to shepherd them through those stages.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're early on, I mean, it makes sense for you, the founder, because they got to get the idea to market and prove product market fit. But at some point between that and the growth, might that's where you need to really do a self-assessment and see, what is your core skill set, and where do you, and also, like, what do you like to do? What motivates you, and where do you want to spend your time? Because there's a lot of stuff as a CEO that just not fun stuff, like having capital raising conversations all day long, and trying to figure out comp plans and financials, has absolutely nothing to do with the product. And so it's not what it's all cracked up to be have the title of a CEO, if that's not what your passion is. So,
No, it's not all it's cracked up to be at all. I'm glad you brought up product, and I'm glad that you landed in product because you love that. That's your mission. You have a high impact, right? It's like all the things that make you who you are, and that's great that you recognize that. So, as you're looking at some of the challenges or opportunities you've had to overcome in building product over the years, what are some of the things that you might be able to teach other folks as it relates to product challenges they might be seeing?
so I think again goes back to know your customer, right? And your customer is, so in our case, our customers are marketing agencies. Those are the people who pay us money. Typically, that's the majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they represent, retailers and brands. However, the product that we build is it's a automation marketing software that allows the agencies to manage locations and scale inventory at scale. So it's really their customer. Their customer is the retailer and the brand. So when you have a product like that that's B2B2B, really the customer is the retailer. And so from day one, how this whole thing started was, I actually went door to door to 500 retailers, and started and did a little 30-minute to an hour long sort of consultative marketing questionnaire with them. Like, and so I started every meeting with the same thing. What's your biggest marketing problem you're trying to solve today? And they all said the exact same thing. We're looking for new customers. We're looking for new customers. So when we set out to build this product, that's what it was super focused on, is showing that the value of bringing how many new customers have walked through your door today. And so inventory just happens to accelerate that. but exponentially because of what I talked about earlier about it being being indexed by Google. So like knowing that, and so even though our customer is the agency, that's who's paying us, we stay very close to understanding the problems that the retailers are going through, knowing that if we can build a product and a tool that helps those retailers see value in the services that the agencies are doing for them and also the brands, then that's a product that will have a long shelf life. And so I think that gets lost a lot with founders when they're building their product. They might understand like a problem at a high level, but you really need to understand it at a detail level. And is there room for scale, and like really knowing who that customer is and understanding your TAM and all that other stuff, but staying hyper focused on the value that you're providing to your end customer and making sure your product focuses on that, because it's really easy to chase the shiny features that look cool and seem cool and that you as a founder or your team thinks that are super sexy, but don't actually drive the results that the customers care about, right?
And that's not just in the early stage either, right? I so often see companies that as they're going into their growth stage, they've got this foundational revenue, they've got foundational customers, and all of a sudden they just shift, right? Like one customer wants something, or they get a great idea. Like, what about some of those folks that are, they have call it 3, 5, 10 million in revenue in their business, and they're on to the next great idea of what their product might be able to do without talking to customers.
Yeah, that's the danger, right? Like that's exactly what I'm talking about. Knowing, and it all depends too, like what the TAM is. So what the total addressable market that your software is solving. If you're at that 3, 5, 10 million and your TAM is, and you're done, or you have a significant portion of it, if you have 50% of your addressable market, then you need to sort of look and say like, hey, like, is there another vertical? What can we do to accelerate this? You get into these danger zones if you completely change the business model and the revenue model. So you may want to, do some tests, but like you have to talk to your customers. If you're going to I would say, if you're going to make a significant change like that, make sure that it's either going to help your existing customers, or if you're pivoting, make sure that the TAM is big enough and the problem is big enough and that the adoption is there before you make such a radical investment. And then two, what's helped us is like, if we're going to invest $250,000 into building out the product, what's our expected revenue return over what time frame, right? Like, let's make sure that we have we tie the revenue back instead of just shiny, sexy numbers. Like, make sure there's a revenue driver behind it, and that will help to sort of save you in wasteful time if there's not an immediate revenue play for the the features that you're looking to build out.
What if I've got a $5 billion TAM in front of me, and so I've hit like 1% or less of my addressable market, but I'm just this most innovative founder ever, and I know I can go build two great big companies or two great big products at the same time, serving two very different great big markets. What do you say to me?
So you're talking about DBA basically. I mean, so because of the good thing about DBA is that we're in 100 countries and we have over 1 million locations that have synced up onto our platform. The downside of DBA is that we're in 100 countries and we have over 1 million locations in completely different industry verticals. Right. So that's where and what the timing for us when I met Chris, and that's what I'm saying, the timing thing with COVID and toilet paper and all that, it sort of solidified like, hey, this is the opportunity of all the stuff we have in front of us, because we have everything from plumbers and tree trimmers and dentists and hospital systems and banks, and so everybody has a different need and a use case of how we could use our platform. But we just saw that again, going back to Google, the way that Google works, and seeing the trend of the near me search thing, and seeing that the inventory was indexable, that made like it sort of clicked for us, like, that's content. Inventory is content. Google is a content machine. They love content. They can't get enough of it. And they figured out that it's content that, more importantly, what Google cares about most, users care about. So knowing that Google's motto of trying to make sure that their users get the most accurate information delivered to them, that's sort of how we strategically said, okay, we're going to plant our flag in the ground and go after retail inventory. It's been a problem that people haven't been able to, a really hard problem that not a lot of people have been able to solve. So I also like that, the more difficult problem there is, the bigger moat you have and the bigger runway you can give yourself. So that's what I would say when you're fit to it. You got $1 billion TAM. You don't have to rush and figure it out. Again, talk to your customers, take time, don't rush the decision. Just you can do tests. You can test different industries, different verticals, and then at some point you'll run into an opportunity where it's like, okay, like there's some runway. We're starting to get some traction here. We can see that there's some light here. Let's invest into this sector and see where it goes. And that's sort of the path that we took.
So wide product offering, lots of different solutions, lots of different verticals, and going through that, how do I best deliver this message quandary, right?
Right, exactly.
So where are you guys at on that now? Have you decided to dive into? I know inventory is obviously a core focus, but are you still pretty wide in some cases, or have you started to narrow that down?
So our core tool set allows any industry to update. A big problem is updating your store hours across not just Google, Facebook, Apple, all that. It's in our space. It's called listing management platforms, and there's a lot of competitors in that space. So that's sort of table stakes, but it's still a requirement, especially with holidays, seasonality, storms, the hurricane that was just here. Like, people want to know, like, is the business open right now? When are they closing? And so our platform still provides those core services and functionality for any business. And so the more locations that you have to manage, the more complicated it is, more time consuming it is. So our platform does a really, really good job of that sort of core functionality across the board. And we have a lightweight reputation management piece and everything. But really the focus now that we're trying to solve, because of the near me problem and our connections with Google and our closeness working with them, and some of our other partners like Locally and Thumbstopper and some other really great agencies and brands, I think where we're in the best position to really solve that problem in a major way of helping retailers get their inventory online and helping brands promote those inventory pieces. And that's really our big push here for next year, is unlocking the ability for a brand to advertise on behalf of those local retailers of their inventory products. So that's the product that we're going to be rolling out, that we've got lots of pilots going on right now over the last 6 months, and they continue to roll out, and we're collecting. You're going to start seeing case studies and things of the impact the inventory online has, and how the brands can finally participate.
So you mentioned some pretty high power partnerships, right? Google, Thumbstopper, Locally, all partnering with DBA. Is it the main go to market is all via channel partners, or do you guys go to market direct as well?
We do go direct, but it's originally it was through channel partners, through agencies. Like I mentioned earlier, I went door to door to 500, and I realized really quickly after the 500th one that there's no way that I can physically go and talk to every business owner in the world. So that's when we sort of pivoted to like, hey, let's start with the agencies and the channel partners to get the word out. So we would do, like, that is definitely a big part of our model. But also, this is another advice to founders, like, what the great thing about our relationship with Locally is they've been very tried and true to what their product is and what they're trying to focus on. And we've sort of done the same thing of, here's the lane of what we're going to do and what we're going to focus on. And so Locally has a lot of really great connections directly with POS systems and retailers and brands, and our connections with Google and all the distribution, marketing platforms is where we sort of work well together. So that's still a big part of our model. We're not going to turn brands away if they want to come to us direct, if they're big enough. And so that's another change we did, is like we typically work with larger agencies that have, thousands of locations that they manage, because that's where you're going to get the real value out of our platform. But yeah, that's still the focus is on our channel partnerships.
Awesome. I want to take a quick break away from the business just to go
Sure.
to the story that I'm sure folks have been like really wanting to hear more about from my intro, which is you do a lot of stuff outside of the business too, right? Which an entrepreneur or founder has to in order to stay sane. They've got to, live their own life outside of the business as well. You just got back from a trip to Alaska. You go on a lot of adventures. You caught this giant fish, which is not the biggest you've ever caught. Talk to us a little bit about like how you find time and how you make the time to go do really fun, adventurous things away from the business.
So I'm glad you asked that, Jim, because I was talking to some young founders the other day, and they sort of had the same question about work-life balance. And so Alaska is my annual trip. I've been doing it for almost 10 years now, and I actually completely shut off. I disconnect. I don't even bring I don't even have cell service there, so I try not to get online at all while I'm in Alaska. And it's really good just to sort of separate you get caught up in the minutia. But the halibut was it was almost like a Jaws moment. My brother was with me, and it came up, and I knew it was big because it was just I couldn't get it off the ground. It was like it wasn't coming up. And when I got it to the boat, the thing was like almost the size of the boat, and we had a harpoon on board. And when he stuck it with the harpoon, it took the float down immediately, back down 300 feet. And I was like, oh gosh, it's gone. And it took another 45 minutes to get it back in the boat, and it was quite the rush. But it is, I do work 7 days a week, lots of crazy hours. I don't really pay attention anymore. It's just part of my life. But I do. It is at the end of every year, I look back and assess how well I did at the work-life balance thing. And so it is baked in now, where I do monthly try to do little trips, where I'll take off a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday. So that's worked really, really well. It's also taken me probably 5 to 10 years now where I've completely mobilized my life. I used to have three screens, the desktop computer, and crunching spreadsheets, but over the last 5 to 10 years, I've set it up now to where I can work anywhere in the world. And I can take my meetings, and a lot of that's because of the teams that I've built over the last 10 years, where I don't have to be the behind the screen, crunching the spreadsheets anymore. So I'm just at a place in my life now where I can work. I don't have to have the screen space. I can do everything I need to do from the laptop or the phone. And that is through just taking a hard self look at where your time is going and being your own critic about it. And you absolutely have to. It's a must. You have to enjoy life. I love the work, but our lives are very short. We're only here for a very small time on this earth, and I don't want to be one of those guys that waits until I can't enjoy it. So I'm enjoying it all the way through. Avid diver, fisherman, and that there's nothing more peaceful. I feel like I get most of my creativity when I'm out in the ocean, because I'm just allow my mind to get out of the details that sometimes consume us and don't give us the ability to have perspective. The old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees, right? So
Yeah, totally.
that's the benefit of time. It'll give you more perspective on what it is you're doing. So
You mentioned your brother, who you both travel with and work with at DBA. How, I've always thought about wanting to go in business with my younger brother when he's a little older. And I know of others who've had great experiences working together. What's that like working with your brother?
It's what you probably would think of it in the beginning, very frustrating. I think it works well for us. There's a big age gap. And so he's learning a lot. He's coming up. I'm very proud of his ability and his skill sets that he's learned over the last few years. He's doing really well. His communication skills are getting better and better every month. And the best part about it is that, and the best advice I can give you is that he's not my direct report. And so once we made that change, the relationship got much better. So now I can be more of a mentor and a guidance and give them critical insight and suggestions without having to like hold them accountable uh, for the day-to-day work. So it keeps the relationship brotherly, and still we get to enjoy some of the benefits as the business is succeeding. We get to celebrate those wins together. So it's really cool. And if you're in an environment where you don't have to be their direct report, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's very cool. I mean, keeping things familial definitely keeps them interesting too.
Yeah.
So that's terrific. He's on the revenue side of the business. You're on the product side of the business. Where those two businesses meet, obviously a lot of areas, but pricing being one of them, right? And I know that pricing is something that you guys have put a lot of thought, a lot of energy into as you've evolved, and some lessons learned there as well. What what are some things that you've gone through as it relates to pricing your product?
So when we first started, the very first product we built, we thought, again, being young naive founders, you're like, oh, look at our TAM, this is $1 billion TAM. We priced it at $1 per month per location, thinking if we can get, oh, we'll easily get 1 million locations on this and they'll all pay us $1. And so that's what we did. And we didn't get millions of people paying us, but we got hundreds and thousands. And then we launched our next product. We're like, well, let's make $1 for that, and then so fast forward after like 12 products, then we had enough to make a package, right? And so then it went to like $10 a location. And so it's just the evolution, I think, of your product and like understanding the value and what the customers are willing to pay and what impact it's having on the problem that they're trying to solve. So if you have a local pizza shop and they start using your software and you can show that, hey, you had another 20 phone calls and 20 visits to your website this month. I mean, based on what their average ticket is, the pizza cost, and what are they going to be willing to pay for that? And so we did a lot of those conversations, right? And again, because we're in so many different verticals, that answer changed a lot. So again, knowing your customer, and then knowing, because we have the B2B where we sell it to agencies and partners, they have to make money too. So it's talking to them and seeing what can they sell it for, what gives the most value to, and it's not just landing the sale, right? Like one of the big things is churn, like keeping them paying. So like making sure your product does that too. Like it can't just show them, growth day one, but it's got to show continual growth and continual value. And so we have these conversations a lot. And as you get bigger clients, their service offering and how they provide, your product pricing has to fit into their model too. And so you have to be flexible and don't be afraid to have the conversations. And so we do a lot of pilots whenever we're launching new things or having new ideas, where there's a monetary revenue commitment once we sort of learn and understand what the impact is. And then we sort of work together with our partners so that they can make money and their clients can make money, and we can make money. So having those open conversations with your customers and your partners, and not being afraid to change it up, and I'd say that's the best advice I can give when it comes to pricing, and it's something that we change every month. We're constantly tweaking it to create better value and scale, because pricing could also, sometimes we definitely undervalued our product in the beginning, but it allowed us to scale and grow a lot of like customers and learn a lot from data. And so there's a value there too in the learnings, and what you can do when you acquire data. So yeah, just keeping an open mind and having conversations with you can't ever stop having the conversations with the customers. It's the bottom line.
So figure out what your strategy is around pricing, figure out the customer's willingness to pay, right? And how much, and connect that to the strategy. So if you really want the data, obviously that's going to shift it somewhat, but putting everything for $1 is hard to unwind.
Yeah, but so that's the power of bundles, right? So like when you're selling an individual feature for $1, that's one thing. But when you have the bundle, so the power of everything, then look in our space, there was a lot of saturation in the listing management space. So we tried to build products that hadn't already been built yet around that, and knowing that there weren't we couldn't compete with those other companies that had a more that had a bigger product and a bigger offering. So we knew that we weren't going to get people to switch to our platform unless we could at least compete with what they were offering. So we had to start somewhere. And I guess that's another advice to early founders. Like, don't be afraid to just start charging something, because you got to prove that what you have is valuable, right? And so that was sort of our deal. It's like, hey, let's just at least get a credit card on file and we'll figure out how we can change it later. Let's start collecting feedback and at least have the ability to roll out an upcharge and upsell, right? So that was sort of our strategic price move.
Yeah, and that power of the bundle, whether it's products as part of a bundle or companies as part of a bundle.
Service, one of the bundles we actually did a lot of the service work on it, as and the agencies would farm it out to us. So yeah, the bundling stuff will help accelerate revenue too.
1 + 1 = 3,000.
That's right.
That's great. That's
Right.
great. So to close off each of these shows, we do what I call the Founder Five, which is just this series of rapid fire questions, all about your growth, Trevor, and then both as a founder and company driver, right? The first one is the number one metric or KPI that you are relentlessly focused on.
Well, I mean, new bookings and churn, that's the lifeblood. I would say, like, as a founder, those are probably the two most important. On the product side, my day to day, it's like the amount of client where we're at today. It's all around like chat response time. One of our things that we try to respond to everyone within 5 seconds. So we don't want people to get stuck doing what they're trying to do. We know that our customers are marketing agencies. Their time is very valuable. So we want to make sure that our product is useful to them. So chat response time is also a big one on my product side that we look at, and time to close support tickets. But from a company perspective, it's new bookings and churn.
Well, if I am ever using your product and it takes 6 seconds, I'm calling you direct.
No problem.
All right. Second one, top tip for growth stage founders like yourself.
I mean, I probably said it way too many times already, but just know your customers. I can't stress that enough. I talk to a lot of guys just getting started and they don't even know who their customer is yet. They have an idea of trying to solve a problem, but if you don't know who your customer is and you don't know then that means you don't know your monetization model. And you don't have to in the beginning, but like when you're ready to raise money or actually build a product, and invest some significant money, like, you got to know your customer.
It's so crazy. I read this study, and it was like a year ago. Sorry for the sidebar, but it was about KYC, and someone was doing a survey on KYC, and it was about like 70% of something. When people said KYC, what did you think of as it related? And it spelled it out: know your customer. 70% related to the KYC in the fintech or financial services of knowing your customer, like from the regulatory standpoint. Less than 30% were around like actually knowing your damn customer. To show you, like, know your customer is something that people need a constant reminder of. That's
Yeah, Yeah, especially founders in the tech, because it's so easy to get enamored by technology and the cool things it does, but
Kidding.
so easy. It's so easy.
I'm a brilliant founder, and yeah, all that. Uh, all right. Favorite book or podcast that's helped you grow as a founder?
Oh, geez. I don't know if I can flag one. You know, when I read books and podcasts, I'm just typically looking for like little nuggets of inspiration and insight, you know. So I would say that there's one in particular. I can tell you the book that I just recently read that I thought was very life enlightening, and give you a different perspective was Peter Zahan, The End of the World is Just the Beginning. The he's definitely gives you a different perspective on the world and why decisions are made that's not really based on politics at all. So it's just raw data, and it's so I would say that that's the most interesting one I've read in a while. So
Yeah. Is that one around like the study of cycles and things along those lines?
yeah, population.
Yeah.
And like his other book that he wrote, he predicted the Russia invasion based on the population, and it wasn't political. It was just purely the population of the leaders, and they needed to make it do something, otherwise it was going to be done. So it's very interesting, his study that he talks about on the population.
All right. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. All right. Let's do a little bit unconventional. What actor would play you in a movie?
Oof. That's a good one. Oh boy. Um, geez. I guess it would be Matt Damon would be a good one. That dude, all the different places in the world that he travels, all the different things that he does. I think that would be a good one. He's very versatile, never in the same spot, always doing something new. That would probably be a good one.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know, for whatever reason, when I asked the question, I also got like these real River Phoenix vibes, and that could be just because your brother's name is River Phoenix, but I don't know, like the super adventurous, um,
Totally. I could totally
like
see
that.
that. Yep. Yep. That's another great one.
Yeah, nice, nice. All right, last one is, what is going to be the title of your autobiography when all is said and done?
Oh boy. Uh, more of a something I probably say all the time is almost there. Always trying to I always move that too. So nothing is ever we never get there. um, so I would probably say almost there, and just all of the adventures that go along with it, that never satisfied with the last one. It's always on to the next.
Almost there, with like a disappearing title that then reappears on like another part of the book.
Exactly.
Always,
Exactly.
always love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Trevor, you've given a ton to listeners today, so thanks, first off. But I also like to allow for a little bit of self promotion, just because you've been so giving with your time. How can those listening help you out?
Look, we're on the mission to solve the inventory problem. I think that with all the economical downturn, local businesses more than anything have been getting pummeled. And so those are our customers. Those are the guys that we're trying to help. So if you're a local retailer, and you have inventory, um, we want to help you. And if you're a brand and you're trying to help promote, your local retailers, we want to help you do that. So those are the two ways those are the two problems that we're trying to solve, and that's what we're hyper focused on. So if there's anyone out there that know, whether you're a small retailer or a large chain, thousands of locations or hundreds, We want to help you solidify your place in the digital. It's really hard. You waste lots of money. It's the most. I haven't even talked about the ROI on it, but it's the cheapest thing you can do for the maximum benefit. Is get your inventory plugged up online. You're going to see exponential growth there. So that's what we're looking to solve right now. Or if you're in the space, like as a channel partner, and you represent and have lots of retailers or brands that you work with that haven't done executed on this stuff before. We do have some of these special programs that you mentioned with Google where we can get inventory instantly verified and online. So we can bypass a lot of the heartache and problems that it's a very cumbersome process for most people to deal with. So
Yeah, you guys, I've seen this shit works. I mean, it's powerful. It gets more powerful in some of the partnerships that you've got as well. And I look forward to seeing some awesome success coming out of DBA long term. So Trevor, you guys are rocking it. Thanks for giving your time. What's the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they do see an opportunity?
yeah, best way just LinkedIn probably, or Trevor at dbaPlatform is the easiest. Those are the two things. I'm not big on social media. If you want to check out what's going on, we do lots of webinars. We do the team does lots of office hours, but me personally, you can shoot me an email or hit me up on LinkedIn.
Perfect. We'll get those in the show notes. And if you even want to, you could probably go visit him in Alaska once a year. You just aren't going to get a hold of him unless you find a 180-pound halibut on the other end.
100%.
Nice, Trevor. Thanks again, man. This has been a pleasure.
Thanks, Jim. See you, buddy.